I was just about to remind you.
Yeah. So for those of you who are here, I'm recording this session because I guess that the agent will use this video afterwards if anybody missed some information during this webinar. So I'm Jacqueline, and I work at University College Absalon in a city called Kalundborg. And with me I have
Julia. I am Lithuanian, labas, and I study at the University of Absalon on the International Teaching, Honors Teaching degree.
Yeah. So today we will tell you a bit about our two international programs here at University College Absalon. And as Julia said, she knows a lot about the International Honors degree in teaching, whereas I know a lot about the Bachelor of Engineering in Biotechnology. So we only have 30 minutes, so let's just get on. And I will ask at some point if you have any question, and then you are just welcome to load us with questions. So I will just make it big screen. So can you see a normal big screen, or can you see like where you have several slides and notes?
Several slides.
Okay, I don't like that. So let's just take it the old-fashioned way, like this. I know that is a bit annoying, but I think it's the best. So just again to show you where we are. So we are in Denmark, of the island of Zealand, and the Bachelor of Engineering in Biotechnology you find in the city of Kalundborg, you can see on the map, whereas the International Honors degree in Teaching you find in Vordingborg, as you can also see on the map. Firstly, I will tell a bit about the Bachelor of Engineering in Biotechnology program. So the story behind this, for many years, Kalundborg has been called the biotech city of Denmark because you find some of the world's biggest biotech companies here. These biotech companies have for several years cried out for Danish universities to come to Kalundborg because they are in desperate needs of well-educated engineers. So in 2017, Absalon decided that they will start a program in Kalundborg, and we had our very first year in 2017, which means that this year our very first engineer was done. Just to mention some of the very cool companies we have here in Kalundborg, I can mention Novo Nordisk. They are in the purple area of the screen. Novo Nordisk, they produce insulin, and actually in Kalundborg you find the world's biggest insulin production site, where around 50% of all world's insulin is produced. So that is pretty cool. On the same site, you also find a company called Novozymes, and you can maybe hear a bit in the word that they produce enzymes. You, for example, find in your washing powder. And in Kalundborg, you find the world's biggest enzyme production site. This is just a few of the biotech companies. Each year new comes, and the ones that are already there grows bigger and bigger. So because it's these companies who have asked us to come to Kalundborg, they are also a very big part of the whole education. So for the first semester you enter our program, you will meet these industries. They will be your guest lecturer. They will be there for your exams. You will go visit them. You will learn about them, and they also provide you with student jobs from first semester. So there is a big chance for you to network with all these world's biggest biotech companies. And other than we have some of the biggest biotech companies in the world, we also have the world's first and biggest industrial symbiosis. The concept about the symbiosis is that one company's waste can be the resource of another company. So many years ago, the companies were pretty tired of having to pay other to take their waste, when actually their neighbor maybe could use their waste as a resource. So they found out that if they connected all the different companies in the city, they could use each other as partners, and hereby you can see that all the companies are linked together in Kalundborg. And by this, we, for example, reduce our CO2 emission every year. So that's it's really good for the climate too, that you work together. So biotechnology in general is found everywhere, and this is like the four main topics we touch upon during the education. Food technology, it's for example fermentation products like beer, meat, cheese. We work a lot with pharmaceutical science, of course, because we are surrounded by pharmaceutical companies. Then we work a bit with wastewater treatment and with environmental chemistry. Just to show you that this is the structure of the education. So a semester is equal to half a year. So this education works for, like, you are here for 3.5 years, where you have a half year's internship, where you are going to work as an engineer in one of the companies. Then you have the bachelor project, some elective courses. The white courses are the mandatory courses. As you can see here, there's a lot of math and chemistry, and you should be ready that math is a big part of studying engineering and biotechnology. So I'm not telling you that you should like be in love with math, but you should definitely find it fun and at least exciting in some way, because even though you are going to have biochemistry, you will have to use math in biochemistry or in analytic chemistry or whatever course. So every course here is linked in some way. So what you learn in one course, you will most probably have to use in another course too. So in the mandatory courses, you of course meet a lot of the companies, but especially the project is what makes this program unique and where we have direct cooperation with these companies. So for example, project 1 is a direct cooperation with Novo Nordisk, where you will learn about the insulin production, you will get a supervisor from Novo Nordisk, etc. And the next slide is just show off. So this is like a lot of those companies we work with. So I mentioned some of them, but I could also mention Lundbeck, for example. It's the one with the sea star. They produce medicine that have to cross the blood-brain barrier. So, for example, if you have Alzheimer's, they produce medicine to help with that. They are also very fascinating. Then we work with a brewery, with a wine farm. So there's a lot of different companies we work with, and therefore a lot of different companies you will meet. To the basic stuff, studies start 1st of September. Actually, we are around 25 nationalities at campus right now. So everybody, like from India, China, Greece, Spain, Portugal, US, you name it. We have from a lot of different countries. Nice to know is the salary. I will just let that sink for 1 second. It's a very good salary. Yeah, it's extremely crazy how well paid engineers are. In general, our way we teach here is very project based, where we work in small group. We have small classes with a maximum of 40 students. So you get a very close bond with your teachers here. There's a lot of hands-on work and a lot of laboratory work. We go to laboratory sometimes for several weeks at a time, or at least maybe once a week, because we know it's very important what you read in a book, you also try in the lab, and you meet somebody in the company who does to work with it in real life. So you get all the dimensions of biotech. Yes. So actually, I also want to mention up here that in the projects, of course, you have to have some basic knowledge for biotech, for engineering, but we also want to teach you specific engineering skills. And that is not how to plus 2 plus 2. That is how to make a budget, how to make risk analysis, how to make your own project in a laboratory. Because we have a board here where there is representatives for all the companies, and we ask them, if you should hire an engineer for us, what skills should they have? And those skills they ask you to learn is the skills we learn you, because we want you to, after 3.5 years, go directly out and find a job. Few of our students, they of course decide to take a master afterwards, and you can easily also do that. But the idea about this program is that many of the students go out and become engineer directly afterwards. You cannot take the master at Absalon, you need to go to Copenhagen to take your master. Yes. So, to the admission requirements, because they are very important. You have to fulfill all admission requirements to get accepted to this program. There is no easy go around, go abroad, go whatever. You have to fulfill them. So you need mathematics corresponding to Danish A level, and I think that is around 300 plus hours. I can find the hours afterwards if you want to. Physics corresponding to Danish B level, I think that's around 200 plus hours. Chemistry corresponding to Danish B level, I also think that's 200 plus hours-ish. And you need English corresponding to Danish B level, that is 210 hours, I think, with a minimum grade of 3.0 on the Danish grading scale. 3.0 on the Danish grading scale is rather low, so no worry. You can also document your English with either IELTS tests with a minimum score of 6.5 or TOEFL tests with a minimum score of 83 points. And this is the admission requirements. You need everything. So if you're sitting out there and like, I don't know if I have the amount of math, contact your, if you have a student counseling, student something at your high school, they can tell you how many hours you have of the specific courses. If you have any question regarding admission requirements, I strongly suggest you to contact our admission office because I'm not allowed to say more than what is on this slide at admission@pha.dk. So it's good we meet because if you are going to study this September, there is an application deadline for quarter 2, the 15th of March, and it's very important you apply before this date when you are international students. You have to go into a page called optagelse.dk, and you have to apply in the blue box, applying for higher education in English. Yeah, so that is very, very important to do that. And I actually think that was the most important thing I have to say. So I think if you have any questions out there, something you want me to tell more about, either Kalundborg, student housing, if you have anything, please, now is the time. So I will just end my sharing for a second so I can see everybody who's here. So if you could please, if you want to turn on your picture while you ask a question, or at least turn on your mic so I can hear your question, please come with the question regarding the Bachelor of Engineering in Biotechnology. Nothing? You don't need to put on your picture if you don't want to. Okay, fair enough. To you guys who are more interested in the Bachelor of Engineering in Biotechnology, right now in the chat box, I will put my email. And if you just don't want to ask a question out here in the group, please, please, please send me an email with your questions. If there's something you want me to tell more about, if you want to set up a one-to-one meeting, everything is possible. So I just put my mail in the chat box. So copy paste that and write me an email if you have anything. Cool. So now I will just share my screen again, because then it's time to talk about the other program we have at University College Absalon, which is the International Honors Degree in Teaching. So why should you consider becoming an international teacher? And first of all, and probably most importantly, you have to enjoy, or at least have an idea that you love working with children. Because most international honors degree in teaching students will work in either secondary or primary schools. So just to be clear, you cannot become a high school teacher with this program. We have had that question a lot. It's not possible. So of course you also have to work, love international environment and traveling, because it's part of the program that you have to go abroad. Even though I know you go abroad to study, you also have to go abroad as a part of the program. And then of course you should really be up for a creative job, because I can say that becoming a teacher today compared to maybe when we went to school, it's quite different. So you really have to have a creative side to learn or to teach other. So the second is that there is an increasing number of international schools around the world, and of course these schools, they are searching for international teachers. So there is a good chance that you don't need to work in Denmark after you are done with education, but you can work all around the world. Of course, it makes you very attractive. And at last, there's something about Erasmus, but I know Julia will tell you more about that. So again, some of the basic stuff. Everything is taught in English, of course, and it takes place at Vordingborg. I told you that, but this is actually a 4-year program, not a 3.5 years program. So it's just so you know that. There is a total of 1 semester internship, but they are divided into 3 of around 6 weeks periods. Wasn't you supposed to tell about this, Julia? I just
Yes, it's also possible when it comes to Erasmus to the Erasmus maximum for your education is a year, if I'm not mistaken. So if you, for example, 1 year wish to do maths, we offer also maths at our as a specialization course. You can do it abroad in Sweden, which is a part of your Erasmus. So it takes you, I think, around 3 to 5 months to finalize the course. We've now split it up in half, but that's, yeah, half of it in Vordingborg and half of it in Sweden. But if you ever decide to, okay, I'm tired of Denmark, I want to go to sunny Spain and study how to become a teacher in art, for example, right? So you can also take a semester abroad on Erasmus grant as well. So the whole of it is like 2 semesters, a whole full year, 12 months, but you can split it around in the whole 4 years. Yes, and the internship is mandatory. You can't get out of that. You have to do the internship. Yeah. Yes, and the specialization, when it says specialize in 4 teaching subjects, math is the base. So the first year you enter the program, you can't choose anything because it's chosen for you. It's, sorry, did I say math? I meant English. It's English. You have to do the course in English. It's a full year. So you start with different I don't know, grammatical devices, or how to teach English, how to teach reading, how to teach, yeah, all those things. So English you have to do, you can choose not to, and then the other 3 you choose from the list here.
Yes, exactly. So you can choose for art, German, social geography, history, physical education and health, religion, music, science, and math. And behind this very nice red thing, you can see also the structure of the education. And maybe, Julia, you will tell a bit more about that.
Yes, so the first and second semester also focus on general education and teaching in educational practice. So here we talk a lot about psychology as well as philosophy, how like a philosophical approach to teaching. So they try to prepare you more rather than a teacher, but also as a human being for this profession, because it takes you a lot of different and interesting paths when you actually become a teacher or actually go to practice to be a teacher in your internships. In pupils learning, it's a lot about philosophy, mainly philosophical theories, also educational theories in general education and teaching educational practice. You learn a lot about all these different philosophers, psychologists, sociologists, and educators. And English, of course, is there. Then there is the general teaching competence. It's basically a spin on the first and second semester's general education module. It goes more in depth with different theories and theorists. So we talk a lot about, for example, the importance of feedback in a classroom. Same way as teacher feedback, the same way as student feedback for you as a teacher to know where to build up from. In English, we also learn a lot about planning for lessons. It's also easy for me to say because when it comes to classes in school, you can learn only that much, but when you actually go and do your practice in person, you understand how much more fun it is, because in class it's all theory and you're writing down, you're memorizing and learning. But when you're there in person, it's great fun. And curricula, we also learn about different curriculums around the world. So for example, the IB, which is very popular in international schools, as you guys know, MYP, PYP, a part of the IB program. We have Cambridge, we have primary international education as well. And yeah, you just learn a lot about how they're different and what it is required of you as a teacher to be prepared to teach those curricula. Academic writing and literacy, it's a lot about how to write your research. How to write your research papers in university and maybe even outside of university if you decide to pursue what's master's degree. Then we have the cross-curricular module. It's together with your chosen subject. So for example, this year in my, which semester is it? Let's say the first semester of this year, right? It's my 5th semester now. I did history, and now in the 6th semester, I'm starting history and social geography, which is a cross-curricular module. So on top of learning about history, we're also learning about social geography. And then, yeah, as you can see, the second part of each year, it's mainly focused on your specialization subject. It's not mandatory subjects anymore. It's the ones you choose. The same way in 5th semester, for example, the specialization module is research, preparing you for your bachelor. Bilingual education also talks a lot about what it means to teach a child whose first language is not English. That's another challenge, a fun one. And yes, inclusive education in the 7th semester, they talk a lot about special needs pupils in the classroom, how to approach those situations, how to handle different difficulties that may arise in your practice or in your school. Yes. Do you guys have any questions for subjects? I might be able to answer some. No. Okay. So the 4 years and how it works with teaching practices. So the first year, you are required to do your teaching placement for 6 weeks at a Danish school, local Danish school. In my case, I did it as well in a Danish school a bit outside of Vordingborg, where I live. It wasn't too bad of a commute. So that was fun. They mainly let you sit in English lessons because they understand that you don't speak Danish, or not all of us who choose education do speak Danish. So the teachers are also very welcoming, and they let you plan for a few lessons. Of course, it depends on what kind of a mentor you get. We were very lucky with our mentors. I've heard some stories where the teacher doesn't really want to let you teach because it's your first year, of education, and they're like, learn a little bit more. And then so observing, it's a lot of observing. And you also learn about how to observe and how to take notes on that observation, because at the end of the teaching practice, you'll have to write a paper on what you learned from different perspectives. But that's when you get there. In the second year, you do an international school abroad. So I did this year, lucky enough, I did my teaching practice in Milan, and because of the whole Corona COVID situation, we weren't allowed to go too far because my main focus was Asia, but I couldn't travel that far. But if any of you wish to, for example, there are no schools on the list that they offer, that they have cooperation with from our university, you can always reach out to other schools that are not on the list and create that contact yourself. And then of course the lecturers or the international coordinators will do everything they can to help you get placement at that school. So we've had people go to Japan and New Zealand and Australia and Singapore, all over the place. So that's also very, very cool. And in the 5th semester, which is the 3rd year, you do a placement at an international school in Denmark. So we have a lot of great schools, great international schools in Denmark, and a lot of people who've been, they only have good things to say about it. Yeah, a lot of fun. And once you get there, you understand what the whole teaching is about and how fun and exciting it is. Different. but exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. So as with the biotech program, there are also some specific admission requirements for getting into the International Honors Degree in Teaching. They are luckily a bit more easy, so it's not that specific, but you first of all need what I call a high school diploma. It's also called a baccalaureate. You need that to get accepted, and then there is some very specific admission requirements for the International Honors Degree in Teaching. And one of those are you need English corresponding to Danish A level, so it's the highest level in Denmark. Then you need an average grade of 7.0 on the Danish grading scale, which is equivalent to a ECTS of a grade C. If you either have an average below 7.0 or you are an international student with an international degree, you first of all have to apply before 15th of March. I have told you that, but you also need to attend an interview face-to-face or Skype. It's normally Skype, especially in these Corona times, where you will be assessed on your personality and what motivates you to apply for this program. And then when you are accepted, you will have to pass a special 3 hours entrance test for the International Honors Degree in Teaching. The test both look into your written English and the way you formulate a well-structured argument. So that is like the basic things you have to take into consideration when having to apply for this program. And then lastly, Julia?
Yes, it's the portfolio work. A lot of newly entered students to our program get scared and freaked out about, oh my gosh, what is this portfolio thing we have to collect throughout the whole time we're at our education? But it's actually not that scary. It's basically they're asking you to choose one moment or one learning part that you've gathered from your time at the university. So for example, I'll choose my favorite part that I learned about in history and I'll include it in my portfolio. I'll briefly write it on the board, make like a poster or like a presentation, whichever model fits you better. And then the examiner just comes around. It's a room full of your friends who have set up their posters as well, their displays. And you basically just have a conversation about your education here. And maybe she has some interesting insights as to why you chose what you chose, why this theory, why this moment in your education was the most memorable to you. And it asks you to include a bump along the road. So what made you maybe step back or feel less motivated, or something that maybe, you know, shook you on your train tracks a little bit. Yeah, but that's easy. So don't worry about that. It's good.
Yeah. So with 2 minutes left, that was all we had for the 2 programs at University College Absalon. Please, as I said before, don't be afraid to ask questions. This is regarding your future and the rest of your life. So if you have any question, please speak out loud now or write me an email afterwards. If you have anything you prefer to write it down, it's totally okay. So is there any questions before we stop today?
Just a quick reminder as well, girls and boys, there is also accommodation for students on campus Vordingborg. So I don't know if you'll answer those questions, or maybe I can also give my email and talk about it if anyone has any questions or fears about, oh my gosh, where am I going to live if I enter Denmark? Yeah. So I'll write it, and I'll write my email down just in case. So
yeah, please do that.
Yes.
Again, I will have to, maybe for the one last minute, have to remember that these education are placed in smaller cities of Denmark, which give you a lot of opportunities because it doesn't cost you several thousand Danish kroner to live here. There is a more cozy, relaxed environment, both at campus and in the cities we are in. So it's not like going out on fancy restaurants and pubs. We have a lot of pubs, but they are not that fancy. But it's a more cozy environment where there are room for you as a person, and you are not a number, but you are a person at University College Absalon, where your teacher will know your name. And that maybe sounds crazy, I say that, but for the big universities, I went there myself. I went to University of Copenhagen. You are a number because there are so many students. So it's a bit also what environment you prefer when you have to study. So also take that into consideration when you have to study. And I can see my time is up. So please, guys, if you have any question, write us an email. We are there to answer you all. And have a very nice day, everybody. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Atata.